divine grace of Bhakti-Charana Arvind Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Jagadguru Prabhupada ki jai. Swami Vivekananda Jagadguru Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Shabbat Paramahams Jai Nishtukar Sutta Shishimat. His divine grace of Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavand ki jai. Namacharya Sudha Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho se Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srimad Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Shyam Kamsa Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan ki jai. Brajai Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Radhimai Pradhan ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jagana Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Maharani ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Jai Gaur Pramanande. All glory to Samudra Gauri. All glory to Samudra Gauri. All glory to Samudra Gauri. Glory to Sri Sri and Sri Gauri. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 We are reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, this chapter number 8, text number 10. This is in the matter of attaining the Supreme. Prayana Kale Manasa Achalena Bhaktya Yuktaha Yoga Balena Cha Eva Dhruvoho Madhye Pranam Avishya Samyak Saha Tam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Dhruvor Madhye Pranamaveshya Samyak Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Dhruvor Madhye Pranamaveshya Samyak Satam Puram Purusham Upaiti Divyam Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Guruvor Madhye Pranamaveshya Samyak Satam Param Param Upeti Divyam
Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Chaiva Dhruvor Madhye Pranamaveshya Samyak Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam
Prayana Kale Manasa Chalena
Kali Manasa Chalena योगबलेन चैव मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य स्वतं परं पुरुषं उपैति दिव्यम्
प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्यायुक्तो योगबलेन चेतः पूर्वामध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् शतं परं पुरुषं अपेति दिव्यम् प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्यायुक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रूर्मध्ये प्राणम् आवेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषं प्रयाणकाले मनसा चलेन भक्त्यायुक्तो योगबलेन चैव भ्रूर्मध्ये प्राणमावेश्य सम्यक् सतं परं पुरुषं उपैति दिव्यम्
At the time of death, manasa, by the mind, achalena, without its being deviated, bhaktya, in full devotion, yuktaha, engaged, yoga balena, by the power of mystic yoga, also, eva, certainly, Dhruvoho, the two eyebrows, Madhye, between, Pranam, the life air, Aveshya, establishing, Samyak, completely, Saha, he, Tam, that, Param, transcendental, Purusham, personality of Godhead, Priti, achieves, Divyam, in the spiritual kingdom. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Vedavyasapriya Swami Prabhupada. One who at the time of death fixes his life here between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this verse, it is clearly stated that at the time of death, the mind must be fixed in devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For those practiced in yoga, it is recommended that they raise the life pose between the eyebrows and to the Agya Chakra. The practice of Sat-Chakra Yoga involving the meditation on the 6 chakras is suggested here. A pure devotee does not practice such yoga, but because he is always engaged in Krishna consciousness, at death he can remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead by His grace. This is explained in this verse 14. The particular use of word yoga balena is significant in this verse because without practice of yoga, whether the Sat-Chakra Yoga or Bhakti Yoga, one cannot come to this transcendental state of being at the time of death. One cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. One must have practiced some yoga system, especially the system of Bhakti Yoga, since one's mind at death is very disturbed. One should practice transcendence through the yoga during one's life. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Dhyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Gita Padakavalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sakana Raghunathantam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sakana Lalita Shri Shakamritanscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenakanda Jarapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kancana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusate Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Prayana Kale Manasacharena Bhaktya Yukta Yoga Balena Chaiva Prabhur Madhya Pranamavishya Samyak Satat Param Purusham Upeti Divyam. One who at the time of death fixes his life between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So in this verse Prabhupada says, whether by the practice of Ashtanga Yoga or by practice of Bhakti Yoga, unless and until one has completely controlled the mind, manasa achalena, without the mind being disturbed or mind in full control. These are the two same things. So one has to be totally determined that he must be very fixed in remembering the Supreme Lord. Whether it is His name, His form, His qualities, or the transcendental leaders. Such remembrance should be so fixed in the mind, unrevealed, then and then he will be able to go back to God. So the practice to control the senses and fix the mind is recommended. This is the general system. Whether one has to go through the Ashtanga Yoga which is extremely difficult in this age of Kali. It is not recommended. But Bhakti Yoga is the means for this particular age, and especially concentrating on the sound vibration of the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. We have to remember at the time of death, without any confusion in the mind, fully convinced through the lifelong practice of Krishna consciousness, where whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we offer as a homage, or whatever we do in charity, or whatever we do the austerity for, all the activities are so concentrated by a careful guidance under the bona fide spiritual master, that whatever we do becomes Krishna conscious. So, then naturally at the time of death, we will be unbelieved in the mind, and we will be able to go back to God. This is called Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena Chetasa Nanyagamina. The consciousness thus can be controlled by Abhyasa Yoga. It is the practice. Chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra 16 rounds minimum a day is a practice of Abhyasa Yoga. Following 4 regulatory principles is the practice of Abhyasa Yoga. Abhyasa is supposed to be the training or learning process is called Abhyasa. But yoga means there is a specific purpose that we must link up our practice of studies to the Supreme Personality of God, who is a person. He is not impersonal. For the impersonal, the mind is always previous. Klesho adhikatarastesham avyakta sakta chetasam avyakta hirgatir dukkham nekapadvirvakyate. For those who are contemplating in the impersonal aspect of the Supreme, this practice is extremely difficult. It is troublesome. It is troublesome. Why? Because who to gear the mind upon? Who? On an impersonal void, mind is not void. It is full of dynamic activities. It has been bombarded with so many impressions of our senses. Every sense is giving its own impression, and it is being registered in the mind. Mind is in a chaotic situation. If there are no regulations in the life, no discipline in the life, then the mind is totally turbulent. So, how to fix it? The mind. All the practices are necessary geared to fix up the mind. And every process, whether of yajna, dana, tapa, it is addressed with this intention that it must be linked up with the Supreme. Therefore, Om Tat Sat Iti Nirdesho Brahmanas. Brahma Nirdesha. Brahma Nirdesha means it is indicating the purpose ultimately of the Supreme. The Om word is linked up in the Yajna process. And the Tapa process is Tat, Sat is a charity process. But in Kali Yuga, neither we use Om Neither we use tat, no, tat, sat. Rather we use Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. For the name, the form is identical, non-different. So, the qualities are also in the same alignment, and the activities, that supreme transcendent. In impersonal aspect, it is totally void. There is nothing to interact with any of this form. Therefore, upon whom the mind will be concentrated. It is extremely difficult. Krishna does not recommend the contemplation on the impersonal aspect. Rather, because he is the Supreme Person, he recommends that he has to be linked up with the present, nearest Supreme form of his expansion or Paramatma. That is the Param Purusham Divyam Upeti Cha. So, this Supreme Transcendental Personality of Godhead is sitting in the form of Paramatma. Paramatma is a form. And it is the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu's expansion, who is standing on the lotus. This particular form, the yogis have to concentrate. But one who is concentrating on the supreme aspect of the original personality of God, his complete transcendental loving features is so inclusive, all-inclusive in this threefold bending form of Jnana. So, the devotees are trained in linking a process through all mind, words and activities for this particular form. So therefore, in Bhakti Yoga, this cultivation or what we call abhyasa is gradually done, deeper and deeper state of our meditation. Whatever we do becomes meditation by the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. So it refers only to Krishna and nobody else, no other personality. Our desire simply gears upon the Supreme Personality of God. Those who are not resolute in this determination, their intelligence will be multi-branched, so much diffused in so many different aspects of other subordinate personalities, not the Supreme Personalities. So they get confused. Therefore, the general mass of the people who try to respect everybody on the same level get really confused, and they cannot fix up their mind at the time of death on the Supreme aspect, because they don't know. They have to concentrate between the two eyebrows. They have to fix up their life air. Life air is called prana, and general term that they use is oxygen. But oxygen is a gas. It's not prana. The carrier is different, and one who rides on the carrier is a different person. The prana means the soul itself. is the living entity. He has to be fixed up. Because he is alive, active, and he is concentrating himself from all the different aspects of his profusion of the activities. He is trying to withdraw, concentrating within one's own, self. And that is the position of the third eye, the eyes of transcendence. Actually, Srila Prabhupada says that this prana is dwelling in 6 chakras. Shak chakra yoga, that is also called Kundalini yoga, where the prana has to rise up from the basic animalistic propensity that is on the Muladhara chakra, or the last, but it has to be realized. Then it comes to the Annamaya, then Pranamaya, Manomaya, and ultimately Agya chakra. So here, between the 2 eyebrows, that chakra, or the concentration where the prana can be brought, that is the passage, is Agya. Means Agya chakra means what is meant by Agya?
Order. Instruction.
Order. Agya means order. Who gives the order?
The Guru. Well, the Lord's gate, the Guru opens the gate.
Yeah, so this is also related to Dhriti. Dhriti means the transcendental intelligence. Dhriti. So, all that is in the practice of, at least in the mode of goodness, gives rise to the ascendance of the life force through this different chakras, and ultimately now the order, or we call the Agya chakra, or the one that is rightfully in transcendental conception. If you see in Ashtanga Yoga, all the activities of mind and senses are to be concentrated through the discipline of the bodily postures, and yama niyama asana. The senses should be controlled, the mind should be controlled. So there are prerequisites for the control, that is called yama and niyam, right? Then asana means the sitting postures are coming. Then pranayama, the prana means the life force has to be now concentrated gradually through different breathing exercises, where, because the prana is floating in the air, the life force is floating, but it has to be concentrated. So it has to be brought up gradually and set in the Agya chakra. So then prana pratyahar. Pratyahar means we have to get full protection and guidance on a targeted conception. So after pratyahar is dharana. Dharana means conception. If the conception is impersonal, the mind will be failed to be concentrated, because one may be misled in impersonal aspect, where he may take the liberty of him thinking that he's God himself. So, dharana is important. If the dharana is on the impersonal aspect, then the result will be different. But dharana on the personal aspect, because the Supreme Personality of Godhead is a person. So therefore, any other processes of impersonal realization will fail. It is that because the Supreme Person is the Supreme Personality itself, then we have to link up. And Supreme Personality can be only linked up, and the yoga system through bhakti. No other process will be, helping us. So therefore, even those who are meditators, beyond the impersonal realization is the localized aspect of the realization, and they have to also think ultimately that, oh, that Supreme is sitting in my heart, and it has a beautiful form, having 4 hands with Shankha Chakra Gada Padma. So he meditates on that form, and he tries to utilize in the meditation with the sound vibration of Om. It becomes his austerity, tapascharya. So therefore he utilizes. So everything is concentrated in the aspect of that dharana. Dharana means conception. But when you are totally engaged in devotional service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Lord Shri Krishna, not any other form, then you will get the highest result, because the practice is, that is abhyasa, is totally geared on the personal level of interactions in devotional service, even through the archa, vigraha, the archanam, vandanam. These processes are important to realize Paramatma, because he will deal with the Supreme Person directly. But out of that, each devotee chooses the specific form of Lord Shyamsundar, the Radha Shyamsundar, his interactions will be so much intimate. It gives him all the opportunity to remain in the transcendental nature of the Brajalila. So, meditation on the right conception and pure devotion, which is transcendental in nature, without any motivation, becomes the highest form of bhakti. And Jnana Karmadana Anukulena Krishna Shilanam Bhakti. He becomes so much intimately involved in meditating upon that supreme aspect. That's why Srila Prabhupada calls that a devotee is 24 hours engaged in the devotional service. 24 hours. Because this is the right conception. So for that, Tesham Nityaviyuktana, they don't have to worry about their other aspects of bodily maintenance. So they are beyond. Krishna takes care of it. The system is capable to take care. But because it is Lord Krishna who is taking care, Krishna consciousness process takes care of the devotees. And therefore he is able to stay in the realm of divinity. Daivim prakriti. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashrita. To take shelter of the divine process affords us to remain in the divinity. So, this is the perfect process of Krishna consciousness that is recommended, and it says that ultimately he achieves. But at the time of death, which is the final moment that he will be able to concentrate very easily on the Supreme Person. I was just coming yesterday, and my disciple's father was a little bit remembered. He was told to be read, well read, but he was not in the disciplic succession. He found, he was told that to remember the Lord at the last moment of your life is extremely difficult. Is extremely difficult. But in the disciplic succession, if he has followed, he must have followed in Abhyasa Yoga. So people who even come up to the point of final situation because they have no background, no support, shelter of a perfect system, they find it difficult that they are all alone, they have to do themselves. But here the whole disciplic succession, the person, guru, sadhu, and ultimate authority of the Shastra, they back us. So Krishna conscious process is perfect. And this is how Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that if it is even in the other ages of Yajnadana Tapakriya, where the yoga system was to be applied, and it is Bhakti Yoga, either Ashtanga Yoga or Bhakti Yoga. They must be cultivated in a very firm, bona fide way. Then and then it will be fruitful. The result will be the same. But those who are impersonal, goes to impersonal aspect, and it is a temporary aspect, so they have to come down again. Those who are meditators and think of their own particular desire to be perfect, and they go to Vaikuntha for four different kinds of perfections there. But those who are imbued in love of Godhead, their perfection is going back to the earth. So, but all this requires abhyasa, yukvena, cetasa nanigamina, param purusham upayati cha. So, Bhakti Yoga has been recommended in attaining the Supreme. In Ashtanga Yoga, this other point beyond conception, after dharana comes dhyana. Meditation is only possible when right conception is there. Otherwise, it's a failure. Right? So, if one is having a transcendental conception of the form of the Lord, which is derived through chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, the other aspects after the form, that is the transcendental qualities, will be revealed, and then the activities can be revealed. So these are the eternal activities one is guaranteed while going back on God. Without the transcendental activities, the dynamism of the spirit soul will remain unsatisfied. Therefore, one must practice Bhakti Yoga under bona fide spiritual master, coming in the bona fide dispensation. So, like that, we have to understand. So therefore, ultimate aim of this Ashtanga Yoga system, Samadhi. Samadhi is Samyak Sthiti. It's complete, perfect state where Samyak Sthiti is also reiterated by Lord Krishna, that even if one is a real miscreant, api chet sudracharo bhajati mam ananyabha. Sadhureva samyak. Because he is completely fixed in my transcendental process, it will afford him a guaranteed chance to become Kshipram Bhavati Dharma immediately. So, don't be naive. This is called Samyak Sthiti. It's a complete, confirmed state of our conception. So if we understand the transcendental form of the Lord and then meditate upon Him and with resolute faith, then it is not idolatry, it is Vignana Seva. This is completely different because one achieves the Samyak state. Samyak means the perfected state. There is no duplicity, no inebriation. It's perfectly pure state. Samyak Vyavasoti, Samyak Vyavastha. It is, if one is dead convinced on the transcendental form of the Lord, transcendental name of the Lord, transcendental qualities of the Lord, transcendental activities of the Lord, this state must be achieved. If one quibble on something without proper understanding, he is down, then better get clarified. The system is perfect. If we intermingle or interject our own ideas in it, through so-called fertile brain, we will not get it. Therefore, follow in the footsteps of previous acharyas. Follow, that is Satovritti. That is called Satovritti. One must have a tendency to follow the predecessors. So these are the guidelines given in the Shastras through the processes that has been refined by the spiritual masters, acharyas, and we must follow. So, Hare Krishna. Anybody has any question?
Oh, yeah. Very nice class,
Is there a microphone?
No.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. It was very authentic. Also, my question is, Maharaj, even Arjuna was saying that this Ashtanga Yoga process is a little austere, and controlling the mind is more difficult than controlling the brain. And we have such a beautiful process. So in this also there are so many regulations. Take your time. So So then, how would you explain or help us that we get maximum perfection? Since there is no end also to perfection in Krishna consciousness, and preach also extensively.
Do you think I should give you other than Srila Prabhupada suggested?
Something more you have of Prabhupada.
No. Just follow as it is.
Thank you.
Have full faith in Srila Prabhupada's process.
Hare Krishna. How to fix up our mind on super soul at the time of sudden accident, heart attack, etc.
I must have given somebody the time of what? 6:30. How to fix up the mind at the time of accidents? Accidents are uninvited. So probably if your activities are not Krishna conscious, you will not be able to. For a devotee who is engaged 24 hours a day, his mind is engaged in the Krishna conscious. For him, Krishna takes the charge of the devotee at the time of accident. That's all. That's it.
This 6 chakras you mentioned, 6 chakras. We need the details of the 6 chakras.
Can you tell again?
Chakras. He's asking for chakras.
He wants the details of the 6 chakras.
Details of 6 chakras.
Details of the 6 chakras.
6 chakras.
7.
I'm not a Kundalini specialist. But Agya Chakra is considered to be the third eye where the prana is concentrated. Alright? And then, according to his conception, the yogi is able to raise from the Agya Chakra to Brahmarandra and go from that point. Hare Krishna, can you call me after 10 minutes, please?
Om Tat Sat, you said, what is that? Charity Yajna?
I'm in the class, can you call me after 10 minutes, please? Om Tat Sat. Let's see. I'll find out. In 17th chapter, 23rd verse, okay, Om Tat Saditi Nirdesho Brahmanas Trividas Smita Brahmanastena Vedascha Yakyascha Vitapura. From the beginning of creation, the 3 words Om Tat Sat were used to indicate the Supreme Absolute Truth. These are 3 symbolic representations were used by Brahmanas while chanting the hymns of the Vedas during the sacrifices for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Okay? So, they were also carried further when the system for particular age is changed from, say, austerity then to yajna, means sacrifices, activities. So, generally, whatever you are offering to the Lord, either through the meditation, through the austerity that you have to control your, postures and this and that, because that is in Satya Yuga, it was mentioned. And then in Treta Yuga, this fire sacrifice was the means.